Welcome back to another episode of Ballers, Beers, and Banter. I'm your host, Dave. Here with me, I got Bernadeschi and Sancho. Anthony Moose.
What's
Hello.
up?
So, for those of you regular football fans, you might not recognize those names, but true football fans, as in European football fans, you will recognize those names because those are two European soccer names, as in the last person to score for Italy in penalty kicks and the person who missed penalty kicks for England today, Bernadeschi and Sancho. Did you guys watch it at all?
Yeah, I watched a bit of it.
I did not.
Moose, very disappointing. Anthony, what did you think of the match?
I'm disappointed we're talking about European football.
Yeah, it's like some people would say the real football. We wouldn't say that.
I don't think anyone listening to the podcast might say that.
You're right. Anthony, what did you think of the Euro Cup today?
I mean, of course, England can't finish. They often struggle in these international tournaments. But yeah, I mean, Italy won. Montreal was probably going nuts because of our little area, Little Italy, where I was there for their last win at a restaurant and streets were closed. It was as if the Habs won the Stanley Cup. So I can only imagine what it was like today on a beautiful day outside.
Yeah.
And
for Italians, for people of Italian heritage, I would say the Euro Cup or World Cup is bigger, even bigger than the Stanley Cup. It's the big football match for them is that. But yeah, I don't know. It was fun. It was fun today to watch that Sherman. It was a big victory for Italians. Sorry, Moose. I know you're.
You should apologize to our listeners. I'm just waiting till we get into what people came here for.
Mm-hmm. Which is the real football. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, American football.
American football. All right. Well, we won't spend too much time on Euro Cup, but congratulations to Italy and England for, I think, making the final. I think it's fantastic. And it was fun. It was a fun match. I'm not super invested, even though I have, I guess, flags in both camps. I have heritage in Italian heritage and English heritage. I have flags in both camps, but I thought it was a really fun match. It was really cool. So congrats to both teams. But let's get into some real football headlines. Football that concerns the both of us. All of us.
all right.
Who's leading off? Anthony?
Yeah, I'll start off with some Tarik Cohen news. Been some whispers around the Chicago camp that Tarik Cohen, his ACL, which he injured last season and missed the entire year, isn't quite there yet in terms of health. Worth watching closely at camp. What would his impact be for David Montgomery, floor, ceiling? I mean, we saw what David Montgomery did without Tarik Cohen there. So, yeah. I mean, if he doesn't get healthy soon, I mean, this is a bump for David Montgomery. Of course, he'll because we had forecasted that he would have less targets in the pass game, and maybe it'll go up slightly since Tarik Cohen is not in full health. So, yeah. This was broke by Adam Levitan over Twitter.
So, like, what do you guys... So, let's just say Tarik Cohen's out. Let's say he's out for the year versus in for the year. Does that change your opinion on David Montgomery in half PPR at all?
Yeah, because I think Damian Williams might play a bigger role.
Okay. So Tarik Cohen's out. You feel Damian Williams plays a bigger role. How does that change David Montgomery for you?
Well, I mean, Damian Williams, not more than a year ago, people were drafting him super early, for what he did with the Chiefs. So, I mean, one would assume that he might cut into David Montgomery's workload.
Okay, so if Tarik Cohen's out for you, David Montgomery's the same because you just feel Damian Williams will fill in a little bit of that role?
I mean, I feel that Tarik Cohen will eat into a little bit, but he'll get at least the first stab at being their second running back. But I mean, if Damian Williams is still playing at the level he was, 2 seasons ago, I don't see why they wouldn't use him.
Okay, Anthony, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, Moose is correct. You were someone, Dave, also that was high on Damian Williams. I mean, he's definitely a great backup for David Montgomery if Tarik Cohen is unhealthy and doesn't get back to full health. So I don't think Damian Williams will cut into the passing game as much as Tarik Cohen would. So, I mean...
But I don't think it's cause for concern. But
right, exactly.
It's not like a situation where Tarik Cohen's gone now.
Yeah,
David Montgomery's 100% running back. I just think it's
right.
But
so
I think
they have a viable back.
Yeah, the
it's
risk
not
is
Cordarrelle Patterson.
Yeah, Damian Williams, in my opinion, is a better all-round running back than Tarik Cohen. So I would be more concerned if Tarik Cohen sat out.
Yeah, like vulturing touchdowns, I think would be an issue in this case, and I tend to agree.
Anthony mentioned Cordarrelle Patterson. He's with Atlanta, right?
Right. Yeah. But I was saying, like, last year, he was the replacement for Tarik Cohen.
Gotcha.
Damian Williams is loads better in the running back position than Cordarrelle Patterson.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Good to know. What else we got for headlines?
Headline, this is per the Rich Eisen show. Ooh. Saquon Barkley won't comment on his availability for week 1 after his ACL tear last season. So Barkley apparently avoided the question and then was saying that he's day-to-day and he's doing what he can, to get healthy, obviously. But sort of suggested, I think he was asked if there was a chance he might start on the PUP list, which I can't remember what it stands for now. Something unfit to play.
Player unable to participate.
There we go.
PUP. The PUP. Not as cute as like a puppy. Like, hey,
definitely not.
Puppy. No, not as cool. No, not as cool.
No. So it's something to monitor. This isn't the end of the world. Don't go off trading away Saquon Barkley or anything like this or writing him off. But I think it's something you have to monitor every week, see if there's new headlines, see how he's doing.
It's a little bit of a concern, right? Because this is not the first headline we've heard about Saquon, right? In terms of his
they were
re-injury.
Lower his
coaches. Yeah, I heard the coaches say he'll be like 80% used rather than 100 early on. So something to monitor. Like I would like it for redraft. So I have him in Dynasty. Obviously, I traded a boatload for him in Dynasty. I believe in him 100% for Dynasty. But for redraft, he might move down my depth chart like 1 or 2 notches if I'm concerned about his like week 1 to week 3 availability, right? Like why take Saquon if there's a concern about his first couple of weeks if Dalvin Cook's there or Derrick Henry's there or Alvin Kamara's there, right? So yeah.
And all you people if you're new to fantasy and you're trying to figure out which running back to go with in the first round, I was reading earlier on Reddit this week, somebody had a question between who would you rather have. I think it was at the 5th or 6th spot in the first round, Jonathan Taylor, Ezekiel Elliott, or Saquon Barkley. I mean, with the issues with Elliott in the past year, with the Saquon health issues, Jonathan Taylor, Indianapolis is going to run the ball even with Carson Wentz there. I think Jonathan Taylor is the solid pick there over those two. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like he's the lowest risk.
Jonathan Taylor, Saquon, and
Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah. Out of those 3 at like this point right now, I'd probably feel the most comfortable with Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. He's the lowest risk out of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that as well.
Oh, wow.
And then for anybody listening to the podcast who's not taken our advice this season and potentially drafting wide receivers from the Patriots, per beat writer, Jakobi Meyers expected to be the Patriots' most productive wide receiver. So
I think he was last year.
Take that however you want.
He was last year. He was a waiver wire pickup last year that proved helpful for a couple weeks. But I would, I guess, agree with that. He was drafted by the Patriots, I believe. And I mean, if he's the only one,
that
it doesn't say much.
That outlook is not exciting,
right? But I mean, he is the most comfortable with the team, and I guess has a rapport already with Cam Newton. I guess that was his favorite target. So I mean, you're still not drafting any Patriots, but if you were to take one, it would be him over the others, I would think.
Would it be? I mean, who else is there? I mean, Nelson Aguilar is there, right?
Yeah,
Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne, right. So I agree 100% with your take, Anthony, and Moose, a Patriots fan, that is, don't draft Patriots wide receivers and running backs at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had to, gun to your head, how would you rank them? Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, and Jakobi Meyers. How would you rank them in terms of fantasy wide receivers? If you had to.
I would literally just throw their names in a hat and pick them out at random.
Anthony, what about you?
I would probably go Jakobi, and then I mean with Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne, I guess Moose is right. You just throw it into a hat because it wasn't a successful passing or like fantasy showing for the receivers last year. So I mean, Kendrick Bourne, we haven't seen a whole lot from him. He's still a young receiver. Nelson Aguilar, he had one good season where in Philly he was dropping the ball all the time. So if he doesn't have a rapport with Cam Newton, you can expect a lot of that. Yeah. So I mean, throw them in a hat.
I feel like I have Kendrick Bourne higher, but it's not even Kendrick. Like for me, it's Cam Newton.
Yeah, Cam Newton.
Cam Newton is.
We don't know what we're gonna get.
I get it. I get it. I get it.
But I don't know. For some reason, I feel like Kendrick Bourne is. If I had to put one of them at the top of the list, it would be Kendrick Bourne.
Really, Kendrick Bourne? Wow. Okay, I would put, based off of last season, I would put Nelson Aguilar at the top of my list because he was in I would say a pretty similar situation with the Raiders and produced pretty well. You know, like just an okay quarterback, an okay offense.
This would be
not one that favored the passing game, and he did well enough. So
this would be a perfect beer bet.
A perfect. This is
if we cared enough about the Patriots passing game.
It's not
because all three of us have different receivers to start.
It's like
let's just take it. Let's take it.
You like the least? No.
Let's do it. I got Kendrick Bourne. Who do you have?
I got Jakobi,
and you've got Aguilar.
Fine, I'll take Aguilar.
Yeah,
this is the worst beer bet we've ever made on the podcast.
Who cares?
No, because
you're right. You're right. Who cares? It's fun. It's
people are going to draft Patriots. Like I mean, they're going in drafts,
and we're going to drink beers anyways.
Yeah,
we are going to drink them anyways.
I love it.
Okay, here's the thing. What if someone else besides those three,
all three of us drink,
and we all drink.
Scores them?
Then we all drink.
What? Even if it's Jonnu Smith?
Yes.
No, tight ends don't. Oh, we're counting all receivers.
Well, I mean, it said. Oh no, it didn't say it. It said wide receiver. So yes, if N'Keal Harry doesn't get traded, somehow finds his way to the top of the list.
All right. Those three. If none of our three is the leading receiver,
right it down, Anthony.
I wrote down.
Write it down. All right. What other headlines you guys got?
That's it. That's all we got.
That's all you got. All right. Well, good. That's
it.
It's
a slow week.
It's a slow week. All right. Well, great. Well, we're gonna dive into our main topic of discussion, which is sleepers. Again, we're hitting you with some more. Listen, there was too many sleeper options available. We were arguing between different sleeper options last episode. So we're coming at you with some more sleeper options for you. Hopefully your draft is later in the season, but if it's right now, listen to this episode. We got you with some sleepers. Who's going first today?
Not me.
Oh, okay. Not Moose. So Anthony, you're up. Moose loves going last. It's his favorite.
But you guys, you get me in the rhythm. I don't like to start the rhythm,
especially on a
Sunday night. Sunday night,
I appreciate that.
Sunday night, I'm usually a little more tired, so I need someone to get the ball rolling, and then I'll get into it.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Corey Davis. This guy's a sleeper. A lot of people would be like, "Is Corey Davis a sleeper?" Yeah, this guy's going in the 10th, 11th round, and which is super weird for me to think about because he's a number one, or in my eyes, he's a number one receiver for the Jets. Then you're like, "Oh, Anthony, he's on the Jets. They're terrible."
I'm sorry,
Anthony.
One more time.
I was trying to do because Moose does it pretty well, but Anthony. Anyways, so yeah, this is a guy that showed last year that He's still in the league. I mean, a lot of people thought that he was a super talented receiver coming to the NFL. It was his 4th year last year, and people were kind of like not really wanting to draft him because he hasn't really proven himself. He only played 14 games last year, but during the season, he had some pretty big games and actually showed up. And now he went from Tennessee to the Jets. Got paid a very good salary. He signed a 3-year deal worth $37 million, $37.5 million, $2 million signing bonus, $27 million guaranteed. I mean, this guy is set up for this team. They want him. They wanted him. They've set him up to be the guy over there.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Wilson is their rookie QB with new head coach Robert Saleh, which is a defensive-minded coach, but with a QB like Zach Wilson and the running game still up in the air. I know they have the rookie Michael Carter. Is it junior? I'm not sure if it's junior.
It's just Michael Carter.
Michael Carter.
But I respect the effort.
Yeah. So Michael Carter was a guy that we said could be a marquee or a sleeper type guy, but we really don't know what to expect from him. So, I mean, they're going to be playing from behind a lot of the games, and Zach Wilson is going to want to air out the ball, or they're going to want to air out the ball to try and catch up and, garbage time points. They count. Mm-hmm. They count. So a guy that I compare Corey Davis to is a guy like Devontae Parker, and that's not a name that you want to.
It's not exciting,
right? For Moose, especially. I mean, he doesn't like Miami guys.
Terrible comparison for Moose.
Devontae Parker and him are kind of similar. They've both had they have a lot of injuries. Underwhelming careers, came into the NFL with super talented, can't stay healthy. But Devontae Parker in 2019 was the 7th receiver on the year on a terrible Miami team. So I don't know if Corey Davis could be a top 12 receiver, but being the number 1 guy, the targets are going to be there. And to get a number 1 receiver in the 10th, 11th round, I mean, Moose was talking about guys with high ceiling and why he didn't like Jarvis Landry.
Let me interrupt you here real quick, though.
Yeah,
please. Because you're saying you're hyping up Corey Davis a whole bunch. But is there hype for Zach Wilson? Because that's really going to determine a lot of this.
If you're a New York fan, there's a lot of hype for Zach Wilson.
So the ceiling's high and the hype is high. So it could
for Zach Wilson.
For Zach Wilson. And I mean, I'm sure Jets fans are excited with the moves they made and the rookies they have. So
what's your hype level?
My hype level is that Corey Davis with Zach Wilson could be a viable flex option. So would I rather have him on my team over Landry? I would say for upside, yes.
Wow, that's
over Jarvis Landry?
That's
over
a big
Jarvis
statement.
Landry, your favorite?
That's a big statement coming from you.
I know. If you want to play it safe, Jarvis Landry is the guy. But if you want to take a little bit of a risk and have a guy with the potential, because Devontae Parker, we've seen, like I said, we've seen him come in 7th, and then we've seen him be as low as 42. So,
okay. Quick question.
Yeah.
Paris Campbell or Corey Davis?
Oh, Corey Davis. Corey Davis, 100%.
Yeah. Paris Campbell, like I mentioned, you have T.Y. Hilton, he's old, but he's still there. You got Michael Pittman, and then we have the other guy that I mentioned. That
with Corey Davis, you have Corey Davis versus Elijah Moore, maybe.
Yeah, so that's what I was getting into.
But that's why I'm asking you about your hype for a rookie quarterback. So obviously you think that this rookie quarterback is going to come in, and be able to feed Corey Davis. So my thing is, you don't have that same hype for Elijah Moore to come in as a rookie.
No. Let's talk about Wookiees, please.
He's going to come in as a Wookiee wide receiver, and you don't think
someone do the Chewbacca voice?
You don't think he could be the number 2 or better? Since Corey Davis is the only wide receiver there.
So just looking at the depth chart, this is what I was getting into as well. So you got Corey Davis there. You got the new signee as well, Keelan Cole. Mm-hmm. You have Denzel Mims, who's a sophomore, and then you have Elijah Moore, who's a rookie. Yeah. So and then, I mean, if you want to get into
apparently Mims is struggling. Apparently Mims is struggling. So I don't really, at this time, I'm not worried about him too much.
Yeah.
Mim's the word on Denzel.
Yeah. And Jamison Crowder is there. So, I mean, they're not happy with the receiving core that they had last year. Mims is not performing well. And I mean, do you want Jamison Crowder being your lead receiver? Nobody wants that.
Well, they want him to take a pay cut. They want him to take about a 50% pay cut, right? So,
and he's not happy about it. So who knows if he'll be there at the start of the season. So Keelan Cole, we know, is not the guy. I mean, he hasn't been the guy ever. Corey Davis is still young. He's 26 years old. He's a big receiver. He's 6'3", 209 pounds. And he had a resurgence last year. So, I mean, new team, new QB that is going to look for a reliable target. I mean, Elijah Moore, he's a rookie. It takes longer for rookie wide receivers to be successful. I know it's happened.
How long does it take for Wookiee wide receivers to be successful?
It might be in no time.
Longer than rookies or
I don't want to get into that. So yeah. So basically the point is there's a lot. This depends a lot on Zach Wilson, the rookie QB on the Jets, the new system, and obviously Corey Davis staying healthy and being able to perform like he did last year. But I would say that the ceiling is high, and a number one receiver in the 10th round, 11th round. I mean, like I mentioned before, if you don't want to play it safe, he's a guy to go for.
Okay, so you're not worried that Zach Wilson is going to say to Elijah Moore, get down the field and I'll hit Chewbacca the end zone.
That was pretty good.
Well done, Moose. Kudos. Yeah, that deserves a clap. That was well played. Yeah. Well played. No, I gotta say, Anthony, I think you're right that Corey Davis is a sleeper 100% from where he's being drafted. I have him round 9 to 10 based on half PPR versus PPR. And yeah, he should be, for all intents and purposes, the number one wide receiver on his team. He's coming off a great season last year where he was 31st on the year in half PPR, 30th in points per game in half PPR at 11.3, ahead of your boy Jarvis Landry, who was 10.0 points per game. We got Corey Davis at 11.3. So he was great. And he was the number 2 on a Tennessee Titans team that didn't pass the ball that much, right? So yeah, if this new offense does pan out, listen, Zach Wilson doesn't have to be a superstar. It just has to be an offense that's passing the ball. And if it is, then yeah,
I will say this. If Wilson is better than Marcus Mariota, who was the quarterback for Corey Davis when he came into the league, I mean, there should be no problem if he like him and Mariota didn't really have it going on.
Assuming the issue was Mariota.
The issue was, but I mean,
we can based off last season, we know that part of the issue is Marcus Mariota because Corey Davis was fantastic last season with Tannehill, right? So,
and only imagine if he played he only played 14 games. I mean, he only missed 2, but would have moved probably into wide receiver 2 category. Yeah. So I mean,
he's a great sleeper. Listen, I have Corey Davis on my in our dynasty league. I have him on my roster, and I'm not betting on him being fantastic, but I'm hoping for something decent. You know, like I thought he was great last year. Was like a late breakout. At the very worst, what are we looking at? Like worst case scenario, what are we looking at with Corey Davis? Like, let's say worst case scenario, he gets outplayed by a Denzel Mims or a Elijah Moore, and he's the number 2 on that roster, and the Jets are not very good in the passing game.
Did the Titans just not want to pay him?
Probably. Well, the Titans had so many other areas of concern, right? So first of all, they brought in Julio Jones, right? So Julio Jones is an upgrade on Corey Davis. I think we can all agree in the NFL.
A series of events. I mean, they got rid of Corey Davis before Julio Jones was even a
They let him go. So literally, basically, what the Tennessee Titans decided was Corey Davis wasn't worth what they were paying him for. Which, Anthony, drum up the contract again. $27 million guaranteed.
27 million guaranteed, 2 million signing bonus. He's basically getting paid 12.5 per year.
It's a lot. That's a lot. So the Titans decided, why pay that when we can pay Julio basically that, but get Julio Jones, who's in NFL terms the best.
They released Corey Davis long before that Julio.
So
No, it wasn't a
Jones thing
release. It
happened,
wasn't a
so-
release. He was a free agent. It's not a release. It's not like you're cut. It's he tested the free agent market and he signed with the Jets.
Yeah, and the Titans felt that. I mean, they didn't think the receivers were the issue. Like they didn't feel that they need to bring back. They let go of, or Jonnu Smith went somewhere else. They didn't re-sign him. They didn't re-sign Adam Humphries, and they didn't re-sign Corey Davis. So they felt that even with those guys contributing last year, that they weren't what made them successful. But with that, and they probably had the idea already in mind that they weren't going to sign these guys, and that Corey Davis, still a young receiver, huge talent when he was drafted into the NFL, hasn't shown what he's made of yet. And they're like, we're not going to pay this guy this amount of money when we got a youngster in AJ Brown who's proven himself. And there was a boatload of wide receivers available this year. So they're probably like, we can go get.
That's my concern.
Yeah.
Is that a team with like a solid quarterback is like, this guy can't make it happen. And now he's going to, a team that has been awful.
Well,
and
you're not wrong. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now they have a quarterback he's a rookie.
Yeah. But I feel like they drafted him in his 4 years. He didn't show them enough, but now this is a time for him to turn his career around. I mean, with the Jets, it's going to be kind of hard, but we see Darnold move away from the Jets, go to a different team, and we believe he can turn his career around. So this is what if you want me to get away from the guys like Landry and like live a little and find something more exciting, I think Corey Davis can give you that right.
The opportunity is there. I'm playing the other side a little bit here, but the opportunity is there. He is he should be the leading guy. And it's just, we'll have to see.
You know what, Moose, you're not wrong. And I think you bring up the same concerns that fantasy players across the league have with Corey Davis, right? And that you're exactly right. Why wouldn't – so he broke out with Tennessee. He had his breakout season with them. Why wouldn't they look to re-sign him, right? So I get what you're saying. I 100% get what you're saying. And if we're looking at his – from an analytics standpoint, if we're looking at his stats, we have like 3 years of like nothing and then this 1 year of breakout, right? So like what really happened there? I get what you're saying. So there's some risk involved, but
he almost broke 1,000 yards last year. He had his most touchdowns of his career. He had 984 receiving yards. I mean, I would love to see that get up to 1,000. I think it's possible with probably due to like garbage time yardage that he'll be able to break that. And hopefully the touchdowns will be, I don't think the touchdowns will increase that much. He'll probably be a 6 touchdown guy. And I would say like 1,100 yards. I think that's a solid flex stat line if he's your flex guy or a bench guy.
Yeah, I mean, like you got to think what are the Jets and Zach Wilson going to throw for, right? So if he's like, is Zach Wilson going to be a 30 touchdown guy as a rookie, or is he going to be more like a 20 touchdown guy as a rookie? Because that'll make it or break it probably for Corey Davis. So, but I think in round 9 or 10,
if the Jets even get a touchdown.
You got to assume they're going to get some receiving touchdowns.
Of course.
You're right, Moose. So, Anthony, you're right. He's definitely a sleeper in round 9 or 10 because if you take any other team, like take the worst team in the league last year and take their number one wide receiver. Okay, yeah. So, their number one wide receiver is still getting some action, right? At some points last year, that was Braxton Berrios, right? Last year, or Jamison Crowder, and that was with Sam Darnold doing very poorly. So, yeah, if that's the worst team in the league, or Joe Flacco, if that's the worst team in the league, someone's got to be catching the ball and doing well. So, Anthony, you're right. This is definitely a sleeper in round 9 or 10. If you grab him there and he ends up being the number one wide receiver on his team, even if that's a bad team, that's a good spot to take a number one wide receiver, I think. So,
Jamison Crowder, just to give you an idea, the leading receiver in fantasy for the Jets last year was Jamison Crowder. He finished 39th when Corey Davis finished 31st. So Corey Davis as the second receiver, I mean, he's definitely more talented than Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder, I believe, is older as well. Yes. And will have a better, he's 28, only 2 years older. Jeez, these players are a lot younger than we think sometimes.
You age quick, though. Just because we're older than the players doesn't mean that they're old in NFL terms. It's still old.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean,
go run some routes and you'll realize, old.
So, I mean, new quarterback, new coach, new number one receiver, I think worth the risk in the 10th round.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Anthony, great sleeper. Love it. Corey Davis in the 9th or 10th round. Definitely a sleeper. Listen, I'll go next. Moose, I think you brought up, I don't know if it was the first or second episode of our sleepers that you brought up Blake Jarwin's name.
It was
that
the first sleeper.
The very first sleeper episode we did, you brought up Blake Jarwin's name. And I thought that was a fantastic sleeper. Listen, if you don't get...
Dave?
Yeah.
We're all listening.
Thank you for listening. I feel like Mark Anthony, ladies and countrymen, that may have your ears. Yes, you're listening. Okay. So Blake Jarwin, great pick for a late tight end, because if you can't get Travis Kelce or George Kittle or Darren Waller, TJ Hawkinson, those tight ends, then it's kind of a crapshoot, if we discussed on this podcast before. So Blake Jarwin, great pick to be a sleeper. I have a couple other sleepers at the tight end position that I think are worth mentioning, and I mentioned two here because I think they're both equal in terms of their upside, and that is Gerald Everett and Adam Trautman. And if I talk about Gerald Everett first, guys, for the Seahawks, listen, Gerald Everett was on, you're listening. I know you're listening, Moose. He was on the LA Rams.
He was one of our marquees.
He was one of your marquees. So listen, if he's on the LA Rams last year, now he's on the Seattle Seahawks. And if we look at the Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson loves to target his tight ends. He just absolutely loves it. And in terms of tight end targets last year, if you take Will Disley, Greg Olsen, Jacob Hollister, the three main tight ends on Seattle, because there were 3 last year, we're talking about 108 targets to the tight end position last year. 5 touchdowns to the tight end position last year. I think that Russell Wilson was looking for help. He was looking for help in the receiving option. He was looking for help in the O-line. He got help on the O-line, and Gerald Everett was one of his wishes. He was on his wish list to have a solid tight end at that position. So I feel like Gerald Everett is going to be, I don't know if we can expect 108 targets from him, but we can expect quite a few targets for Gerald Everett and quite a few red zone looks.
From not 108 to what is...
Well, listen, the most...
107.
We had 3 guys. We had 3 guys with 37. Like Greg Olsen had 37. We'll just say 29. We had Jacob Hollister at 40 targets. We can't combine all 3 and be like, that's what Gerald Everett's going to get. But I think it's going to be pretty high. We got DK Metcalf. We got Ty Lockett, who are going to command the most targets. And then I really feel like it's going to be Gerald Everett as the 3rd target leader on this team. And that's at the tight end position, which is crazy tough to get someone big. If you miss out on those top options, Gerald Everett is a must grab in the late rounds. I feel like he's a great sleeper, especially as a red zone target, because a lot of attention is going to be on Ty Lockett and DK Metcalf. And then here's Gerald Everett saying, hey, Russell, throw it to me. I'll catch a touchdown. And then in terms of Adam Trautman, we're in the same boat here, if not even a better position, because they've lost Jared Cook. Don't forget, Jared Cook had 60 targets last year. He had 7 touchdowns, Jared Cook. So they've lost him. They've lost Emmanuel Sanders, who had 82 targets and 5 touchdowns. So, it's the Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara show for the New Orleans Saints. So who's going to be the 3rd guy? I think it's got to be... It could be Traquan Smith. Absolutely could be Traquan Smith. Or it could be Adam Trautman. And a lot of people are calling, I'm not alone in this, calling Adam Trautman a sleeper pick for tight ends. I think he's a fantastic option. If you miss out on those top 5-6 guys and you're waiting on the tight end position, to me, you grab Everett or Trautman in your last 1 or 2 rounds, and you could end up with a gold mine. Could end up with the 5th or 6th.
I think Gerald Everett's going to go earlier than the last round.
Yeah. You think so? Really?
I
think so
for
too.
Sure.
Okay, so where do you think Gerald Everett's going to go?
I think he'll go in the mid rounds for sure.
Wow. You think he's going to be a mid round target? Okay, why do you say that? I have Gerald Everett right now at like 219th in half PPR. So he's like going undrafted in most leagues. I have Adam Trautman at 209.
So I think anyone who doesn't get one of the top tight ends is going to panic pick tight ends in the mid rounds. And Gerald Everett's a solid pick.
And I think because he's not a sexy name, people forgot about him. And like you mentioned, Dave, or like you showed me up maybe a month ago when I think I was trashing, or maybe it was you, Moose. I was trashing Jimmy Graham a little bit when he was on Seattle, and I was like his career took a dive when he left New Orleans, and it was like, no, he was a high end option for Russell Wilson back in the day when he was on Seattle. And even like I mentioned 2 episodes ago where like Kmet is another maybe sleeper, but Jimmy Graham finished pretty high in the tight end rankings last year. So I mean, Seattle loves the tight end, and I mean, he is probably the most talented option at tight end for that team, and they are looking for another.
Trautman or Everett?
Everett. Sorry, I'm talking about Everett now. So okay. Everett, and then Trautman. My worry for Trautman is the other guy that vultures touchdowns from other players. Taysom Hill.
Yeah, exactly. Who is a tight end? He's
technically a tight end. You're right. Yeah.
So Everett, I think people are forgetting about him too, and he's going pretty low. Everett should be a marquee type guy, and Trautman, I would say he's more of a sleeper because I mean, you have Taysom Hill there, Traquan Smith. I believe he will be the, I guess, third target if you count Kamara, and then what's the other guy we like to Moose over there?
Traquan Smith. Michael Thomas,
Deontay Harris.
Deontay Harris. I think Deontay Harris is going to take a step up, be less of a special teams type guy and more of a receiving option.
Yep.
And so I would go with Gerald Everett in that. He's my favorite guy in that group.
Yeah, I think a while back I was doing a comparison of it was for Sam Bradford, not Sam Bradford.
Sam Bradford.
That's a name.
That's a while back. That's a big while back.
I was doing a comparison for Matt Stafford.
Right.
And we were talking about tight ends, and I was comparing Jared Goff with Tyler Higbee and Gerald Everett.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, if Gerald Everett was the only tight end in LA, he would have been fantastic. So now he's moving to a team with a quarterback who requested him to be there and favors the tight end. I mean, I can't see why he wouldn't be I think he's a fantastic sleeper.
Yeah, if you miss out on the position. So let me ask you guys this, because we've mentioned 3 names that I'm all very high on as late round tight end picks. If you miss out on the top guys, Cole Kmet, Adam Trautman, Gerald Everett. How do you rank those 3 as tight end sleepers, or just as tight ends?
Everett.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Kmet and Trautman.
Kmet and Trautman.
That's my order.
Yeah.
So Everett, Kmet, Trautman, Anthony?
Yeah.
That's your order as well?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I actually go, if I'm picking that late, I think I go Trautman, Everett, Kmet. I think I go that order.
My thing with Trautman is, like, we honestly have no idea what's going to happen in New Orleans.
Right. You're absolutely right, Moose. We have no idea. So,
I mean,
I can't fault
Jameis Winston, who knows what he's going to do? He might just throw it to the other team all game. So
you're right. Trautman is way less safe than Kmet, because we've kind of seen what Kmet can do. We've kind of seen, what Everett. We assume what Everett can do.
There's less people
Seattle.
to pass in the depth chart as far as receivers in Chicago.
I don't know about that.
Robinson, Mooney.
Yeah, you're Robinson, Mooney. You're right, and then
Graham. I said, but Graham, he's old. Like, I don't think he'll do what he did last year.
I thought Jimmy Graham had retired.
Yeah, can you vet that, Anthony?
Yeah,
I'm not so sure.
You asked me this last time when I mentioned Jimmy.
I know, but we confirmed. We confirmed that I think he was still playing, but I was under the impression that he himself was like, I'm old, and then
the only reason I go with Trautman is because. A little bit because of the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen in New Orleans, but what I do know is that Cook is gone which is 60 targets, and we know that those are vacated right there. So someone's got to step up and get those targets. And Emmanuel Sanders with 82 targets, so that's 142 targets gone from New Orleans. So even if Michael Thomas obviously going to play the whole season, so he's going to see a huge increase. But even if Kamara is still very high up, and even if Traquan Smith or Deontay Harris, one of them jumps up, there's still room for a tight end to be super productive in an offense. And Jared Cook's gone, so Trautman's going to be right up there.
See? Is there any way to verify, like, how much Jameis passed to the tight end in Tampa?
Well, we can absolutely look at tight end stats in Tampa Bay. I don't think while he was there, I don't think he had a really good tight end. He had OJ Howard as a rookie or second year player while he was in Tampa Bay. But really his targets were Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, right? And
Isn't Trautman a second year player?
Yes.
Right. As a tight end. But like I don't think you can just transfer that. Look, one to the other.
I'm just you got to look for comparisons and similarities.
100%.
So just to give an update, so Graham did consider retiring, but he did not. He's still on the Bears. He has a non-guaranteed $7 million salary cap hit in the second season of his 2-year, $16 million contract with the Bears. So he is signed for one more season.
Now look up Tampa Bay stats from Jameis Winston. But what I will tell you is that Mike Evans was definitely in the conversation for wide receiver 1 in his year with Jameis Winston, when Jameis Winston had 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. And Chris Godwin, that was Chris Godwin's breakout year where he was wide receiver 2 on the year. That was before Brady got there, right? And OJ Howard was just okay as a second year guy. But I think it's more about who are the number one targets. So on the Saints, we know it's going to be Michael Thomas and then Alvin Kamara out of the running back position. And then it's up for grabs as the third target leader, right? So I really think that's going to be Adam Trautman. And I think Jameis is, if we look at his workout videos, he's going to be good enough. If you look at his workout videos, then Troutman's going to eat big time this year. Anthony, what do you got?
So this was just done randomly or like quickly. I mean,
yeah.
When he was on Tampa Bay, his passer rating when targeting the tight end was fifth highest.
Oh,
so it was Brady, Dalton, Rivers, Cousins, Winston. But this is a few years back.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good company back 2 years ago.
So 202 attempts.
Yeah, and to me, it's also about Sean Payton. Sean Payton's such a good coach. Many people consider him to be the best coach in the NFL, but like he's right up there with Bill Belichick as best coaches. So he knows how to use his weapons. So to me, if you're confident in Kamara with the Saints, and you're confident in Thomas with the Saints, then you should be confident with their third option. And if you think that's Adam Trautman, then how can you not want to take him in the late rounds as your tight end target if you missed out on the other people? That's my 2 cents on it.
Cool. All right. So I guess I'll jump into my guys.
Cool.
So I also have 2 wide receivers from the same team. These guys you're not drafting them unless you want to, but they're guys that I would consider waiver wire sleepers. You keep an eye on them because some things have to develop before you can consider putting them on your roster anywhere. So it's Jalen, Guyton, and Tyron Johnson. Who are both they're almost identical players, almost identical stats. Last season, Jalen Guyton, he went for 511 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tyron Johnson went for 398 yards. Same thing, 3 tutties. So last season, Justin Herbert came onto the scene, threw for 4,336 yards, 31 tutties, 595 attempts. So the passing game is real on the Chargers. However, there are people ahead of them, that being Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And then, of course, at other positions, you have Austin Eckler as well, who will feed it.
And the aforementioned Jared Cook is now on the
and Jared
Chargers.
Cook. Yeah. So we have discussed at length on this podcast that Mike Williams has a history of not playing a full season. Usually by the tail end of the season, Keenan Allen usually gets his hamstrings get a little bit weaker, and he's not playing top game, and maybe he might miss a game here and there. And I think that one of these 2 guys is going to have an opportunity to take a step up. But of course, it comes, at the cost of something else happening first. I don't think either of them will immediately be the number 2, or one of them will be the number 3 option at wide receiver. But I think they'll have to first surpass Mike Williams, which in my opinion won't be too difficult. But I think both of them could be.
Why won't it be too difficult?
Well, because Mike Williams will catch a pass in practice and blow out his shoulder for the season. And
okay, so injury. You're thinking he's a little injury prone, Mike Williams.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. Yep. We don't hope anyone.
Knock on wood.
Okay.
But yeah, so these are guys that I would, if you're using Sleeper, put a little star, keep them in your favorites, and check up on them every week, see how things are going with the Chargers. And I think they're guys who mid to end of season could be dynamite on your team should things play out in their favor.
Yeah, listen, Moose, I think it's a really smart drafting strategy to look at not just players that you like, but
are we talking about
like
players?
Players? We talking about players? Not just players that you like, but offenses that you like. Offenses that you think are going to go off Jared Goff on the season and try to target sleepers or players on that team. So do I think that the Chargers are going to be fantastic this year? Yep. Do I think that Justin Herbert's going to be awesome this year? Yep. He broke rookie records last year, right? So we saw what he can do. So I think these are fantastic sleeper options. And Moose, I got to point out that we're on a sleeper episode right now. Moose pointed out last year Justin Herbert as a sleeper, and I was like, no. I categorically refused to bring it up on the podcast.
Wouldn't allow me to do it on the podcast.
I was like, Moose, get serious. Because at this point last season, we were like, Tyrod Taylor's the starting quarterback. Justin Herbert's just a guy they drafted 10th overall who needs seasoning. I couldn't have been more wrong, and Moose was right. So on Justin Herbert as a sleeper, and now we know Justin Herbert's a stud. Not only he's not a sleeper anymore, he's a stud. So I think it's a great pick, Moose. I love Keenan Allen this year with Justin Herbert in that offense. Mike Williams, if he stays healthy, is a great option, but we know he doesn't stay healthy. So yes, one of these guys is going to be really good. One of these other wide receivers. Now, here's a question I have for both Anthony and Moose. What Tyron Johnson and Jalen Guyton, sure, great, but what about the rookie Josh Palmer? Do we think that he's going to eat in, or like are we waiting for camp to see what he does, or do we think that the advantage goes to these veterans or second-year guys in Guyton and Johnson?
I mean, we can wait for camp because that's obviously the smart thing to do.
Okay.
But if you're drafting before that, I wouldn't expect a rookie to, in his situation where there's two other players who are very qualified to break out themselves. Right. I can't see the rookie surpassing them unless he's the next best thing.
Okay.
And you know what I mean?
I would have to agree. I think there is just way too much competition at the moment. We talk about, again, receivers taking a while to get acclimated to the NFL. And I mean, when you have guys like Tyron Johnson and Guyton, and I know from what I recall, we have talked about these two guys during the season last year. Like they were waiver wire picks and everything, and they seem very talented and fast. So, I'm not worried about him as much.
About Josh Palmer. Okay.
Exactly.
Good to know. I would keep my eyes out on training camp just to try and see who's emerging. Is that like if we get a hint at who's emerging, is that I guess third wide receiver after Keenan Allen, Mike Williams? But yeah, I agree, Moose. These are fantastic targets.
Now, if I had to pick one, I'm going with Jalen Guyton.
Yes, I would agree with that.
How come? Because he had more action last year.
Yeah, I think he's substantially faster too.
Okay. He did show, I think Guyton showed some promise last year. Like he even showed up on waiver wires last year. People were picking him up, right? So I think you're right to keep your eye on Jalen Guyton.
Yeah.
Nice. Good pick, Moose. Anything else on those sleepers?
Nope.
None. So
cool.
I think cool. I think we're ready for our next segment, Anthony. Drum it up because it's time for They Said It on Reddit.
Wow. It was a lot of emotion. I almost have a little bit of a tear.
It was like
Oh
an
my
R&B,
God. Yeah,
R&B
yeah, yeah.
song tone.
You know what it felt like? It felt
Sure,
like like we're in like a smoky bar and you're like the guy on the piano and you're just playing your heart out.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks, because I know how terrible my singing is, but I appreciate your support. Thank you.
I'm being very genuine here.
I believe it. You're being very Jalen genuine about it. Thank you, Anthony. Hit us. What's the Reddit?
All right. This one's coming from user OYB_. I don't know if it's OYB. I'll just say OYB.
We'll say OYB.
OYB. The title is, or the header is, "Should I Feel Bad? Drunk Trading." So this one's a fun one. This is a discussion type. So he writes, "I know there are a few guys in my league who have the tendency to send out trades when they are a little drunk. So I'm wondering if it's wrong of me to take advantage of that. The trades are often lopsided and rarely in my favor, but every once in a while I get sent something that is tough to turn down. This morning I woke up to an offer of my Darnell Mooney and a 2022 first for Chris Godwin, and I slammed accept. So I'm wondering if this is poor sportsmanship and if I should feel guilty for it, or if it's part of the game and they should know the risk sending trades while they maybe aren't in the right mind to do so." So it was a poll. He said, yes, you should feel bad. No, they know the risk. Reach out to them to confirm the trade in the future, I guess when they're sober. And I guess I'll throw out another one because I was telling the guys earlier, I was watching the comedy show The League, which is a show about fantasy football, and there was an episode where one of the characters was getting a colonoscopy, so he wasn't in the right frame of mind, and one of his buddies did a trade with him when he wasn't in the right frame of mind to make a trade. So then the commissioner oversaw or made the call on if it was legal or not. So
I was gonna say, first things first, I'll say this. Because we consume beer on our podcast. We talk about beer.
Exactly.
So first things first, drink responsibly anytime you're drinking.
Yeah.
And that carries over into fantasy football. Unless, I think the only immoral part about this is if you're the person making the trade and you know that the person is inebriated and you put a time limit on the trade. So then the guy's like, oh, like I got to make this trade now. But if you leave it open-ended where they could have time to sober up or, whatever, sleep it off, and the next day they look at the trade, do whatever they want, I think that's totally fine.
Yeah. But if they send it to you, I mean, it's their own fault. I mean, like you said, for the most part, they're not fair trades. They're ridiculous. But in this case, so talking specifically about this trade where he got Chris Godwin, he gave away Mooney and his 2022 first. I mean, don't feel bad about it. They sent you the trade. Like you said, fantasy football, I mean, it's about having fun with your buddies, having a few drinks here and there. And if you decide to send a trade when you're drunk, I mean, that's your own problem. So
yeah, I would maybe take that guy out to the bar next time and buy him a couple beers.
Yeah.
See if we make another trade.
Okay, couple things here. First of all, respect both your opinions on it. If you get a trade offer, that's ridiculous. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't assume the person was having a few beers or not. Yeah, smash the button. If you love the trade, accept it. If you're offering trades whilst you've had a few drinks, maybe slow your roll a little bit, because I've been in that boat even recently. If you've had a few drinks, maybe that's not the time to start offering up trades. But in terms of accepting a trade from someone else that you might suspect has been having a few drinks, sorry, too bad, buddy. You shouldn't have been on the old trade bait whilst having beers. Your fault. Now, who do you think wins that trade, though? Let's just establish that. We got Mooney and a 2022 first round pick for Godwin. What would you rather have?
He didn't specify if it was a dynasty, but I'm going to assume
obviously dynasty, right?
I'm going to assume it's a dynasty, and I would say that
it could be
he lost out.
That.
If it's a dynasty, I feel he lost because he gave up a first and Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney. We've talked about Darnell Mooney as a sleeper marquee type guy, the mid round, and a 2022 first. Like, I mean, you don't know where you're going to finish in your league yet. That's a valuable pick if it's dynasty. So Chris Godwin, still a young receiver on a very talented offense. Yes.
But a saturated offense.
Right. So, I mean, I wouldn't have made that trade. I mean, it gets you thinking a little bit, but I would have kept Mooney, especially with Fields being the future quarterback of that team, and then a 2022 first. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
just think of what. So you could have a wide receiver 2, and like Trevor Lawrence, Najee Harris. Oh, it's a 2022. Yeah. 2022. So Najee Harris, Travis Etienne. Like, I don't know.
No. But he's saying like somebody.
2022 is next season.
Oh, next season.
First round pick.
But so guys like those. Guys like those.
Even still, let's say it's
well, it makes the difference because this year it's an important point you make, Moose. 2021 is a great draft year, especially in Superflex. We have some really good options this year. Next year, I don't know, it won't be quite as strong as this year. So you're basically trading
even if
Mooney
it's top
and
heavy,
first for Godwin.
But you're still
even
getting.
If it's top heavy,
still going to get the great rookie.
Yeah, I mean, Godwin's. I think it's a fair trade. It depends what you're targeting. Like if you're rebuilding, I loved Mooney in 2022 first because those are great pieces. I love Mooney. I love having a first round pick. I think Godwin's going to be a really good play this season and for a couple of years come as long as Brady's there. So I don't know, but you shouldn't feel bad. So his main question, should I feel bad drunk trading? No, don't feel bad at all.
Also,
like, it's great. It's fun.
Bad.
No, never feel bad. It's for fun.
Football.
It's all for fun.
Fantasy football is exactly that. It's fantasy. So you should always never feel bad at anything that happens in fantasy football. Yeah. Unless of course you're being you're doing something hateful. That's different.
Yeah, don't do that.
But any fantasy football transactions that happen, don't feel bad about it.
So just looking a little bit further down, just to get an idea on OYB's mindset. So he had somebody comment on the Reddit saying that I'd rather have the upside of Mooney when Fields is QB and my 2022 first than Godwin. I would have declined that. So he's this other user agrees with us because that was my thing. Mooney with Fields is what is important here. And I mean, it's still
also Robinson might not be there, right?
No, he should be there.
Right? No. He said there was talks about Robinson too. I guess we should have mentioned that in the news that he did come out saying that, or the team came out. Sorry, not the team. An analyst came out and said that it doesn't seem like Robinson and the Bears will come to an agreement to extend his contract. So. Looks like he's going to be a free agent next year. So,
yeah, but he's playing on the franchise tag. He's franchise tagged this year.
Yeah. OYB's response was.
We're talking about next.
Yeah.
As a dynasty.
So Mooney now would be the number one next year. So with Fields most likely. So and then OYB says, do you think Mooney's upside is better than Godwin's? Also, it was an extra first that I got during this year's rookie draft. So I guess it is a dynasty, so I still have mine. Barring some serious meltdowns, it should be a later first next year. I already have. Okay, so basically he has 2 first round picks. So in that sense, if he's willing to take the risk and kind of win now, gives up Mooney, gets Godwin, still has a 2022 first because he has 2. I mean, in that looking at it that way, I think it's okay.
If I'm in the position, I take Mooney in the first. Yeah, you guys, I take Mooney in the first. Godwin.
I would probably make the trade now since he still has a 2022 first. I would like shake things up. I don't know what he finished last year. There are other factors, but yeah, I would probably
Moose. What about you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what his whole team is. I like the idea of having the 2 firsts, but I like Chris Godwin. I don't like the situation in Tampa Bay. So yeah, if I was in his situation now, I wouldn't be upset that I got Chris Godwin.
Yeah,
but I was him before the trade happened, I would rather hang on to my 2 firsts.
Okay. So you would rather have Mooney in the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have an extra first. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Dynasty rookies are very valuable. You build your team at the draft.
Yeah, indeed. Guys, I was lucky enough, because the world's opening back up in Canada, I was lucky enough to take a trip over to Vancouver this weekend, and I went to Parallel 49 Brewery on their patio. Beautiful, highly recommend people visit. It's got a good view of the mountains right now. I feel like there's a building being constructed soon that will block the mountain view. So get there now while you got the mountain views on the patio. So I had a bunch of the classic Parallel 49s, which include Jerkface 9000, which I know you guys love, the Salty Scott, the Filthy Pig, the Trash Panda, some classics from the podcast. Yeah, so I had a bunch of those, but this is one of their new ones that I haven't seen in Victoria. So I got their Watermelon Warrior with a little
another
Spartan.
Fruity one, Dave.
Because it's new, and yeah, it's 4.9%, and it's
Watermelon.
very fruity. It's very fruity, but I thought it was cool. Look at the little Spartan guy on the can.
It's a cool
I thought it was
design.
super cool. Super cool. So that's what I've been drinking on the podcast, and it's delicious. Very fruity, but delicious. What are you guys having?
I have a classic summer beer. I'm having a Corona.
Oh, a little Corona. You got lime in it?
No, I was too lazy. It's
I
I didn't want to cut up. I'm only having one beer tonight, so I didn't want to cut up a lime. Just put one slice in there.
Well, that's fair. You can save it for when I visit. You can cut up some limes for us and our
Exactly.
Koronskis. Anthony, what do you got?
So I finish off my last Modelo from the pack, and then I have which is also a fruity one. So I don't know why I'm making fun of you. Kronenberg 1664 Blanc, which has a very citrusy taste, and it's very refreshing. Like I've mentioned before, I have to turn off my AC, and it's hot in the apartment right now. So
what's the temp? What's the Kelvin? What's the Kelvin where you are right now?
Oh man,
how many Kelvin?
Just nowhere near what you guys are going through. But it was a hot one today.
No, we're good. We're back to normal in BC, in the Pacific Northwest. It's fine. It's just cool. It's just good.
I was talking to someone in Vancouver tonight, and they said at 5 p.m. it was like above 30 degrees.
Oh wow!
Today,
Celsius. Yeah.
Or okay, wow.
Well, in Vancouver.
In the Couves. Yeah.
In the Couves.
So it's 22 degrees right now, which is 295 Kelvin.
Yeah, 295. That's the boiling point of Kelvin, I think.
It's 531 degrees Rankine.
What's that?
I do not know.
What?
Rankine.
What's Rankine? How do you spell that?
Rankine.
This is a temperature we haven't discovered yet on the podcast? What's going on?
No, we have not discussed it yet.
Well, because we've been ranking players, so we should be ranking temperature here.
Ranking temperature.
Yeah. I like that. Anyways, guys, whatever temperature it is, I want to know
do you,
your words
do
of
you want to
wisdom.
know how many degrees? I think it's pronounced Romer.
Oh God.
19.
I'm cool. Oh, great. Good to know.
19 Romer.
What I really want to know is, have you guys seen Black Widow yet? The new Marvel movie.
I have not.
All right. Well, I will not provide any spoilers for you, but I did see it yesterday. And Moose, you're into action. You said we were talking about action movies, and they have their own category of film.
It got pretty heated.
As an action movie alone,
Yeah.
entertaining. Very entertaining. If you're going for action alone, you'll like it. And
so,
you know what? Pretty funny. Some good comedy in there.
I know we were talking about ranking action movies, and it got pretty heated, but I guess you would have to categorize this with other Marvel movies. Where would you? Is it one of the lesser ones, or
definitely one of the lesser ones?
Okay,
but I'll tell you things I enjoyed. The actress or actor, I guess you can say actor, as a man or woman, Florence Pugh from Midsommar. I thought she was phenomenal. And the actor, I'm missing his name, but he was in Stranger Things. He was the police officer in Stranger Things. Yeah, great. Those two, wow, really stole the show for me. I
heard the dynamic between those two, or like them in general.
Just them in general, they're fantastic. Florence Pugh is great. She was tremendous. She really stole the show, actually.
Really?
Yeah, over. I love Scarlett Johansson, obviously, but Florence Pugh really stole the show for me. So.
And as a comic book nerd, I heard not so great things about the character Taskmaster. I heard that they ruined him.
Well, I'll tell you that I don't even know who that is, and I saw it yesterday. So yes, they ruined it.
He was the guy in the mask, and I know I wasn't.
Yeah, they ruined it.
Yeah, because he also doesn't look like what he looks like in the comics, and he was kind of like a cult fan favorite character in the comics.
Then yeah, it was ruined. I'm not a big. I'm not a big cult comic guy, but yeah, probably ruined it. But yeah, entertaining enough. You should go see it. I mean, like, we're back to normal. We can. To me, the exciting thing was going to a movie theater and sitting in the movie theater. Like, wow,
but
this
you
is
can
so
here.
cool.
I went to see Mortal Kombat in theaters recently.
Yeah, I guess you did. Yeah, here in BC, we couldn't see movie. Like, that was so weird. We could go to gyms. We could do go to the haircut. We couldn't go to the movies.
Yeah, so the rules here is that
weird.
you cannot buy food. You cannot go to the snack bar. I don't know if that's changed. And then obviously there's a limited amount of tickets available, so you have to wear your mask in your seat. You can't remove it. So
yeah. Anyways.
Whereas in restaurants now you can remove your masks when you're sitting down. So
yeah,
I don't know what it is now for cinemas, but it had a pretty good system.
Go see it. Go see Black Widow. I recommend. Moose, any words of wisdom?
None
whatsoever. Put your best gut forward.
Put your best gut forward.
Yeah, and wear sunscreen if it's over 295 Kelvin. Listen, we had a great time discussing sleepers for a third episode in a row. We'll be back on Thursday with some more fantasy help for our listeners. As always, thanks for listening. See you next time.